الحمد لله الذي أنزل على عبده الكتاب واحلم يجل له واجي أحمده سبحانه وتعالى وأشكره وهو أهل حمد وثناء وأشهد أن لا إله إلا هو وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله ومصطفى اللهم صل وسلم على عبدك ورسولك محمدا وآله وصحبه وسلم. Alhamdulillah bil alamin. We thank Allah Almighty for every opportunity to know more and more and more of our physical presence here. There are only two powers. There is the heavenly power and there's the earthly power. And yet, Allah Almighty, when we made a promise to Allah Almighty that we would always be obedient servants to Allah Almighty, Allah knew that we did not know what we were saying. That Allah Almighty was only running the test of His own perfection, and He expected nothing less than His perfection. And we all gave nothing less than His perfection back to Him. But then He sent us here. Wow. He sent us here so that we may begin to understand what it was we were saying. Oh Allah, I promise to always be a sincere, obedient servant to you. Oh Allah, I will always worship you. Oh Allah, I will always listen to you. Oh Allah, I will always bow down to you. Oh Allah, I will accept only you and you only. I says, okay. Now, let's test their promise. You promise me, you promise me, you promise me, you promise me. Everybody said the same promise. Oh Allah, I promise, I promise. Allah didn't know. We did not know. Allah be sending His. We didn't know when we were going to be coming in on the scene. Definitely didn't know that. We could have came back during the time of when they didn't have no electricity, when they were like using sparks to get a fire in the junk. We could have been coming in those times. But instead, Allah Almighty kept us for these times. It may have been just a little easier to stay closer to Allah and really know that we really didn't have nothing, because there really was nothing but Allah Almighty. At one point in time, the relationship with Allah Almighty was just between us and Allah. We did not have the interference of dunya. We didn't have the challenge of dunya. We didn't have the temptations of dunya. Because when Adam and Eve, may Allah be pleased with them, when they failed, the only thing that they were concerned about is getting back. They weren't distracted by the life in any way, shape, or form. The punishment of Adam and Eve was that they were not where they had just fallen from. We don't have that same test. Because when we fall from anything, we don't say, oh Allah, I want to get back, I want to get back. All we want is that thing to be rectified right there. Okay, you took my car, give my car back. You took my house, give my house back. You took my husband, give my husband back. Took my wife, give my wife back. Took my money, give my money back. Give me my position back. Give me my job back. Give me my health back. That's the difference. But our minds are not rooted it should be rooted in two. Because if it was, the dunya now will become our servant and not us being a servant to it. We don't understand dunya. We don't understand our desires. We don't understand shaitan. And we don't understand ourselves. And that's why our direction is off. And that's why we act like animals. And that's why when we call ourselves righteous people, believing people, we are out doing the same things that everybody else do. And we're just misdirecting them in the name of Allah Almighty, in the name of the church, in the name of the synagogue, in the name of the temple, in the name of Islam. I baptize you to be against Allah Almighty, to be a servant of Shaitan. These two powers, Allah Almighty is always showing us the superiority over one power than the other. We come in this life. Allah says that I will always leave you with guidance. We didn't know that we were going to come here like this. We are so shocked. When we come here, we come up out of our mother's womb, Allah, screaming, Allah, where in the heck am I? What is this? No one prepared me for this. Question comes, you promised that you will always be my obedient servant. Now you're asking me, what is this? We come here not knowing nobody. Who is this person taking me out? Who is this hitting? What is this? What's going on? I feel so vulnerable, so insecure. Allah, 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 Allah. That's what we're screaming. Listen to the babies when they're born. You think they're saying, Dad, Mom. They don't know us. We really, in reality, we only know Allah Almighty. We don't know nobody else. When the prophets came and the people that accepted the guidance of the prophets, Allah be pleased with them, what were those people submitting to? It was Allah Almighty in the prophets. That's all we know is Allah. That's all we know. You think that they were submitting to the prophets because they were handsome or they were rich, they had money, they had power, they could talk slick? It was Allah Almighty that they were seeing. They were remembering Allah Almighty. Allah Almighty made them to remember their Lord and their Lord's promise that they had made to their Lord. And that's why they submitted. Those two powers, Allah's teaching us. Those two powers, we come in this life, we all spry, we're going and we're saying things, and we're looking good and we're feeling good, and we're riding our cars, and we're doing everything, and we're before people, and we're waving, and we're looking smooth, we're looking cool, and we're doing all kinds of things and saying all kinds of beautiful things. Then now, one day, someone calls us, we cannot move, we cannot see them, we cannot hear them, we cannot speak to them. That heavenly power that we neglected, that we gave all the power to the earthly power, now that earthly power has no power really now because the heavenly power left the earthly power. There is no power but Allah Almighty.